Okay, well, knowledge and know-how. Um, I suppose when you asked me that, even though I'm supposed to be a professor, I kind of was just struck by how little I know, really. Yeah, I mean, one thing I kind of felt I learnt the other day, I was coming out of my flat in the city centre, going back to work because I think I'd nipped back for a sandwich or something. And there was this guy coming down the street towards me, really tall guy, and he was really dirty, and his clothes were all ripped. And he was in his 20s, really big bloke, well built, and he was filthy, and he was sort of talking to himself and banging his hands together as he came down the road towards me. And I thought, well, he looked kind of scary guy. But anyway, I made eye contact with him, and he said hello quite aggressively. So I just said hello back, and he was just overwhelmed with gratitude. He was like, "Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you so much. Thank you, mate." And he just went on. I was like, "What are you thanking me for?" He said, "Nobody else will kind of talk to me. No one else will look at me." And I said, "Oh, well, that's fine." And he suddenly started to open up to me and talk to me. And he was this homeless guy who'd been in the army, he'd been in prison, he'd got a drug and drink problem, and his name was Adam. And we just started talking and walking along the street together. And one of the things that was going through my head was, this guy's not asked me for anything, actually. He hasn't asked me for any money at all. So we carried on talking and walking, and I actually gave him what was in my pocket. He didn't ask for it. It was just a bit of change. There was hardly anything there, actually. And he said, "Oh, no, I don't want your money, mate." I said, "Well, you've just been telling me you've got nowhere to sleep and nothing to eat, and just have a few quid to get yourself a sandwich." Anyway, so we carried on, and in the end I said, "Look, this is where I need to go to work." And he started thanking me profusely again, and I was by a cash point. And I said, "Look, I want to give you something." And he said, No, I don't want it. I said, "Look, just let me give you just a few quid so you can get yourself something to eat." So he said, "Oh, it's all right, mate." Anyway, so I got the money out of the cash point and I gave it to him. I mean, it wasn't a lot. But when I left, he was thanking me not for giving him the money, but for just talking to him. And as I walked away, I felt really good. And I didn't feel good because I'd given him money. I was like, God, I think he gave me something which was about just how important it is for us as a species to engage and interact with each other and look each other in the eye. And I've had loads of experiences like that where I go away from something like someone's given me this precious gift, and that knowledge was in my kind of body, my emotions. And I'd actually had a really, really awful day that day at work. It was just nightmarish. And he'd like given me some sort of faith in being a person and just, I don't know, love maybe. It was really moving and powerful, and I felt he'd given me far more than I gave him.
Do you find
It's definitely not separate to what I do. In fact, I would say that is at the heart of what I try and do at work. It's all about the kind of knowledge about who we are, what we know in our bodies and our hearts, how we should engage with each other, how we should speak and listen and learn. It's about kind of openness and actually unknowing, and that stuff in books, I mean, my office is full of books, but actually the knowledge I really, really value is the stuff that I've learned from looking in another person's eyes and hearing their story. And that has changed me as a person. It's the most astonishing book I've ever read. And I only read it about 10 years ago, so it's not from when I was very young. Is a book called Austerlitz by W.G. Sebald. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, quite difficult book, but it's a book about loss and trauma and memory and how our own personal hope and distress is part of a much bigger story about the world, culture, politics. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. I first read it on, I think it was New Year's Day, and I was with some friends in a cottage in Norfolk, and I was just sat in the corner of the room by the fire reading this thing, there's this moment in the book where the protagonist just suddenly realises who he is and everything he's forgotten and everything that he's lost, and he sees his life like it's just a dream, like a shadow. And at this moment in the book, my eyes were just filling up with tears, and it was like, if I hadn't been in a room with other people, I probably would have actually started weeping. It's just an astonishing, gut-wrenching kind of moment, a really beautiful moment that connected with me and my own history, my own past, my own pain. And I think it just has the power to do that book. So Austerlitz, W.G. Sebald, difficult but beautiful.
Thank you, Brendan.
All right.